he's arresting them. And you see this in communities that are Republican, Trump supporters, being outraged that he's raiding kitchens and arresting people, high schools and arresting people who are not what he said he would do, which is focus law enforcement resources on violent criminals and people that are a danger to other Americans.
All right, Senator, I've said this before, I will say it again. There's so much misinformation going around about what ICE actually does. ICE is not committing raids. They're not doing raids. They are not just going into workplaces outside of Home Depots and hoping that they get lucky. Okay, they are doing specific targeted operations, targeted investigations, targeted arrests. They are specifically looking for illegal aliens who also have criminal records. They are still targeting those people, okay? That has not changed. They're not just targeting random moms and dads and this and that. However, in the course of doing those targeted operations, looking for that specific bad guy or group of bad guys, if they run into you and you are aiding that target and or you yourself are here illegally, even if you don't have an additional criminal record, they will arrest you because that is their job. Okay, enforcing immigration laws, which Congress passed, is not fascist. It's not a dictator. It's not authoritarian, whatever. You can think that we should just give mass amnesty. That's cool. You can have that opinion. But enforcing immigration laws that are on the books that Congress passed is not authoritarian or dictator or Nazi or fascist. These are laws that Congress passed. All this administration is doing is enforcing our current laws. But again, they're not conducting raids. They are not just looking for anyone who's illegal. They are looking for the worst of the worst. But in the course of doing that, if they come across you and you're here illegally, they will arrest you because that is their job. And they've been clear about that from day one. And you know what? If you're upset about the number of collateral arrests, about the number of people who are being arrested who have no other criminal convictions, they are just in the country illegally, that's the only thing that they've done wrong, allegedly. If you're upset by that, you should take it up with Democrats and with sanctuary cities. Because sanctuary cities refuse to cooperate with the federal government. And we watched it. We're watching it here in LA. LAPD doesn't want to do anything. The mayor doesn't want to do anything. Sheriff's department does not want to do anything. ICE is basically on their own. So what do Democrats do? They invite a whole bunch of illegals into these cities. They call them sanctuary cities. In California, we'll even give you free healthcare. Okay. So they get a whole bunch of illegals to come here, but they can't actually protect the illegals. When the federal government decides to enforce federal immigration laws, they can't do anything to stop that. They can just not cooperate with ICE, but they can't do anything. And because they refuse to cooperate with ICE, because they refuse to turn over these public safety threats when they have them in their jails and they know that they're illegal and they know that they're also a public safety threat, sanctuary cities don't call up ICE and say, hey, we're going to release him on this day and this time. Why don't you send an agent to come pick him up? No. They just release him out into the community to put everyone at risk, including citizens, legal residents, and also illegals who are law-abiding. Everyone's now at risk, but that's what sanctuary cities do. But Tom Homan is still going to try to find that bad guy. So instead of sending 1 or 2 agents to the jail to pick up that bad guy, which is what they would do if the city were cooperating with them, now they're sending multiple agents into the community to find that bad guy or to find that group of bad guys. And in the course of doing that, if they come across you and you are here illegally, even if you don't have an additional criminal record, they will arrest you. So if you're upset by the number of collateral arrests, look to sanctuary cities who refuse to cooperate with ICE, who refuse to turn over the worst of the worst, which means that now ICE is sending in more agents than they otherwise would have, which means more people, more moms and dads, more whoever else you don't think should be arrested is being arrested because they're here illegally. And Tom Homan has made it clear that while they are not targeting you, while they are not looking for you specifically, if you're here illegally, even if you don't have a criminal record, you're on the table. You should self-deport. In fact, they will pay for your plane ticket home and they will put $1,000 in your pocket, which, yeah, I get is not much, but it's more than you deserve. And it's also better than being detained and deported. And I'm sorry, but being a parent, being a hard worker, just wanting to feed your family, that is not an excuse for breaking the law. That is not an excuse for being here illegally. That is not an excuse for cutting the line of other people who are waiting and trying to come in the right way. So again, ICE is not conducting raids. They're not looking for the random father who's here illegally and goes to work every day. They're not looking for him. But if they come across him, which they are likely to do while they are looking for these public safety threat targets, because they have to send a bunch of agents into these sanctuary cities because these sanctuary cities refuse to cooperate. If they find that guy, he's going to be arrested. So if you're upset by the number of collateral arrests, look to the Democrat, looks to the sanctuary cities who refuse to cooperate with the federal government. And by no means is it fascist to enforce existing laws on the books which Congress passed. That's not fascist, okay? These are things that we voted for prior to. These are immigration laws. If you don't like them, you can try to change them. But the last administration just decided to flout them completely. They didn't change immigration law. They just decided to ignore it and invite in millions and millions of people, including at least 2 million gotaways, which are people who paid more, not just to get to the border and then turn themselves into Border Patrol and then be given a hotel room and a plane ticket, which is what happened under the Biden administration. No, these are people who paid more to never have to turn themselves into Border Patrol, to be completely unvetted, and to get into the interior of the country on their own without ever once having to go through any kind of process, even under the Biden administration where the process was very lax. That is frightening, okay? That should frighten you too. The last administration didn't change the laws. They just flouted the laws at the expense of the American citizens. And there is nothing fascist about deciding to enforce our laws. Nothing fascist about that whatsoever.